It's time to welcome the Wine Ladies with Georgia and Suzanne. An entertaining hour topped up with great ideas about wine, where to dine, anything and everything to do with the vine. Great conversation, lots of laughter, guests from all walks of life, food and wine, music, art, sports, and much more, all on The Wine Ladies.
Hi everybody, it's us, the Wine Ladies.
I'm Georgia.
And I'm Suzanne, and welcome everyone to another edition of the Wine Ladies. We are live here today on thatchannel.com, and I also would like to welcome our listeners on the Jewel Radio Network, the FM dial, 88.5 in Toronto, 98.5 in Ottawa, and 107.7 in Hawkesbury. Welcome everyone to the Wine Ladies.
And to all our friends and fans on Facebook, thewineladies.com, and Twitter, thanks for following us and for all those wonderful questions and comments that you send in. Now, to keep everybody abreast of what is going on in the world of wine, I want to remind those people, those Calgarians out there, that the Austrian wine festival is going on right now, and at the Chaumière restaurant from 5 to 8 there'll be the festival will be taking off, and Austrian wines are really garnering a lot of great attention from experts, so make sure you head out there. The website is www.advantageaustria.org/ca. advantageaustria.org/ca. I did that so well before. I don't know, that's a hard website.
Well, don't forget about the wine events that have been going on all week long in Canada here, about New Zealand, in Vancouver last week, as well as Ottawa yesterday, and tomorrow here in Toronto. They are sold out, but because New Zealand wines are so popular. But don't forget, you can drink New Zealand wines all year long anyways. So let's raise our glasses today in honor of our guests in studio, as well as our listeners and viewers out there. We always like to toast, so let's do that. Cheers, everybody. Welcome to the Wine Ladies.
Cheers, everybody. Now, in keeping with the theme of today's show, I would like to say, if I can, Tena koto kato.
Wow.
Which I believe means greetings to all in the language Maori, which is indigenous to New Zealand.
Yes.
Now, today, you know what, Georgia, I'm pretty impressed with that. I'm glad you had to say that and not me.
Believe me or not, that was actually easier to say than the website. But
okay.
Anyway.
Well, today's show is all about the magnificent, impressive country of New Zealand. We are so excited. We haven't done a show about New Zealand before. So today we're going to be enjoying the wines of New Zealand and the landscape. And in studio, all the way from New Zealand, 8,600 miles away from Toronto, we have in studio winemaker, visionary, and general manager of the Wine Growers of Ara, Dr.Damian Martin is in studio with us here. This is actually the first doctor we've had in studio, too. Welcome.
Well, welcome. It's great to be here.
Pleasure to have you. And also, along with those wonderful wines that we're going to be tasting from New Zealand, we are going to be very much spoiled in the food department as well. John Petkoff is with us. He is the co-founder of Oyster Boy. And John has brought in some yummy oysters, among other things.
Absolutely.
Thank you, John, and welcome to the show.
My pleasure.
Great to have you. Well, we are looking forward to the show. We have never, like Suzanne said, done a show exclusively on New Zealand. And they are becoming so popular around the world. And what are some of the things that we think of when we think of New Zealand? Obviously is Sauvignon Blanc.
Yes, and I mean, I think New Zealand wines they've made a real mark in the world because they have a crispness and a liveliness and a freshness and a cleanness about them that almost is a mirror image of people's idea of New Zealand, and so there's that association which I think really works in the marketplace and for the consumer.
I know it's often one of my fallback wines when I go out for drinks with friends, and I always like to enjoy a nice crisp Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand.
Yeah, and
well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. And absolutely, at Oyster Boy, I would say that the New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc rivals even, say, the French Muscadet as our #1 selling wine day in and day out.
Yeah.
Really?
And it seems to cut across a lot of demographics, you know, all ages, male, female, everyone seems to like Sauvignon Blanc, and so that's terrific. And it's a style that I think, you know, is just going to keep going. The more people go towards seafood, you know, in warmer climates, and al fresco dining and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
You know, Sauvignon Blanc is a great wine for those situations.
Absolutely.
Now, I wonder if you noticed our pearls that both of us are wearing
Barely.
this,
I think we barely
this afternoon. We actually we were shucking some oysters the other day, and we were very fortunate. We
I'd
found
say.
all these pearls in all of these oysters. Had you noticed, John?
That's a pretty hefty, got a big haul there for sure.
We like to do things in a big way with the
Right
wine
on.
ladies.
Yeah.
Now, how many different kinds of oysters are there out there, John?
Well, there's hundreds of species of oysters throughout the world, but the ones that we eat normally, there's about 5 species that are normally brought into restaurants to eat. There's in Canada, we've got our native Virginica oyster that's native to the Atlantic, and on the Pacific, over the years, they've introduced a couple species from Japan originally. So the Pacific oyster has been brought over. Right, and then in Europe there's the Edulus, that's the common northern European oyster. Then over in Australia and New Zealand they have a couple species as well that are a little different, but not dissimilar to one I brought today from the Pacific.
Okay.
So
Now,
that's
do
what
you sell oysters from all over the world at Oyster Boy, or
No, mostly Canadian. We very much
Okay.
specialize in the Pacific and the Atlantic oysters native to Canada. Now and then for the bar we'll bring in some American oysters just for something to switch up. But the sort of the shipping of oysters from, say, the South Pacific, not that it doesn't happen, is just economically not as feasible.
Yes.
The rare exception is the little Kumamoto oyster from Japan, but as a rule that's grown in the United States now.
Okay.
So whether in Washington State or Oregon, and they're shipped in that way.
Okay, interesting. Now, the wine growers of Ara is a little viticultural zone within Marlborough. Is that
Yes,
correct?
well, I mean, it started off, I guess, as a bare piece of land, but it was like a very large blank canvas, and right from the outset we thought, you know, this piece of land has something special. And the way I like to imagine it is, I mean, hopefully most of the listeners and viewers will have seen Lord of the Rings and perhaps have an idea of what New Zealand is from all the landscape of this film, The Lord of the Rings. I mean, there is fantastic countryside there. Ara is a bit like the Middle Earth of Marlborough. Marlborough is the largest viticultural region in New Zealand, a fantastic region, renowned for its Sauvignon Blanc in particular,
Yes.
but does grow other varieties. And within that, we're like this little principality. We're surrounded by mountains, and it's an older river terrace with quite specific soils, and a very kind of, it's a naturally delimited zone. We are the only producer within that zone at the moment, but there may be others over time.
Well, I know you have a vision for the Ara, that region, some of the wines to be coming out of there, like a land brand I had read somewhere.
Yes, I mean, that dates back quite a long time. And I mean, I actually did all my viticultural and winemaking training in France and specialised in terroir, actually, and became a bit of a terroir geek, if you like.
Okay.
And
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one yet. Terroir geek.
So I actually spent 7 years learning about the science of terroir. But in fact, the thing I guess that most stuck with me was that terroir is also about people and the influence of.
That's what the Austrian winemakers said
Yes.
too. They have the
Yeah.
same idea. It's
Yeah.
not just about the soil.
Absolutely not. And I mean, you know, and I guess me specifically, I studied soils and climates in a whole lot of detail and over several years in France and specialised in that. But in fact, you could only ever explain things sort of halfway with that. And the other half of the explanation always came from the philosophy and the ideas of the people that were, you know, looking after the vineyards and making the wines. And either through traditional techniques or through, I guess, some more modern ideas that people were trying to put in place. But it always came back to people as much as wine.
All right, well, we're going to go to a break. You're listening to the Wine Ladies on the Jewel Radio Network and watching on thatchannel.com/The Wine Ladies. Today's show is all about discovering the magnificent country of New Zealand and its wine and foods. In studio, Dr. Damian Martin from the Wine Growers of Ara, as well as John Petkoff from Oyster Boy. We'll be right back after this brief message.
Join the Wine Ladies for the Heart of Gold Party May 6th, Clarence Spa in Yorkville, a unique fundraiser where you make money. Turn your old unwanted jewelry into cash. Experts from the Gold Smart Network will evaluate your gold, pay you cash, and make a donation to the Heart and Stroke Foundation for every dollar they pay out to you. Sample Girls Night Out wines and Clarence Spa treatments and products. It's a private party, but you're invited. Email rsvp@thewineladies.com or register at 416-594-6533. The Wine Ladies Heart of Gold Party, May 6th, Clarence Spa.